sonamki drola benche sangi drupa
Sanje
chodam sogi chonama janjo bada daji chujengi ve sonamki drola benche sangi drupa
Sanje
chodam sogi chonama janjo bada daji chujengi ve sonamki drola benche sangi drupa
Robora sho dayata
Gate paragate parasongate bodhi swaha
dayata
Gate paragate parasongate bodhi
bodhi
swaha
soha dayata
Gate parasongate bodhi swaha
Sanje 탐제가 되고 토자라나 마치고 산제 공부를 뭐 진행해 도와자. 이 제대로 장주에서 말라변 수시도 양술랑 거래. 라와래 신고래 퇴고 토가 퇴지쇼 만화 가지고도 이는 가서 남는 쇼니 삼선제.
So we set our motivation to do whatever we possibly can to attain the peerless state of enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. And knowing that in order to attain that state, I must perfect all the trainings on the Bodhisattva path. And to perfect those trainings in turn, I need to be able to rely on a non-mistaken presentation. I need to get an understanding based on a non-mistaken source of those teachings. And so it is with this in mind that I'm here to listen to a teaching from the graduated path set of teachings, the graduated path to enlightenment.
네, 다 무슨 남주나 시체잖아요. 가서래. 된데를 딱 가지지. 소신 셋업에다는 저 가서 탑재다 투지 전부터 된 봐. 또 봐줘 좀 된대. 어디다 셋업. 근데 두개 다 지워 봐 두가 혼래. 아니 왜세 때저도 처벌 때문에 저 가서 저도지 전에 맞주베 아니 남의 질랍주베 넘어지거든. 아니 what 가서도 소신은 이제 그거 삼사체 안다는 예조를 좋아할 때네 아니 가서다 자지 주주 잠반내 주베 아니 가서다 자지 주주게 가서 잠바다 통매다 아니 이니라서 바다 가자 어떻게 되잖아 뭐다 나는 질라 주베 남아되겠지 엄마 거자 자지 주주 남아지 아니 가서 연조라 아니 가서다 지주 잠배 양당 아니 가서다 아니 가서다 반제제 고불로 줬다 아니 저 로베 산제 장다 다가는 시기 접한테 나왔다고 나서베 아니 사마나 다 주게 하잖아 아니 거소 사마시 아니 돈도 요새는 타발할 때는 랑게 진짜 자열라마 최종 진짜 자열라마 최종 모두 라마 되었거네 요새 삼사체 아니 되나 아니 예윤 얘기 아니 가서도 사마다우지다 자지 주주디 아니 샴들라 아니 저 가서 가담께는 라우리 바슈바바 명아벨 라마디가 그 삼사체 안디 샴들은 가담 사마 장벌라마 종가발라 아니 저 안 겐디베 딱 가서 라주디게 되고 거기 요바 된다 공부시 원데는 되나 마 왜세 쳐발 때는 딱 먼저 저 랑 라메 자벨라마 저런거도 라마 코아티 둥기티 디샴데네 아니 가서다 단데데 귀대시 하소 라메 내주주 자주지 아니 계속 산제동 다가네시 아니 자서 가서도 니워스진 결서 그 자서 파바날 거 같대네 란게 되네 니한테 되네 바오카도 추조 수마자다 소신 마사오메 받는다 공부시 아니 소신 대달래 두갈래 왜세 트네 아니 제 라라게 시나 아니 네 아니 가서대다 이시바 젠자네 아니 소신 대달라다 이시바 찾아 팀수 섬서 어디는 공부시
And so as we normally do, we begin by setting up the merit field in the space in front of us, and at the very center, beginning with the one who is skilled in means, shows perfect compassion of being the Buddha Shakyamuni. And that the Buddha is marked at the three places with the at the crown, at the throat, and hung at the heart. And from the hung emanates these light rays then which establish all the other members of the merit field. Beginning with the space, in the space behind the central figure is the set of gurus from the consecrated practices lineage headed by Vajradhara. And then to the right, being again from the light rays emanating from the heart center of the central figure, the figure of Maitreya, representing the lineage of extensive practices, and that includes also all the central gurus there, including Arya Asanga and Vasubandhu, etc., amongst those gurus. And then to the left, again, in a series of light rays, we establish the lineage of profound view, and this is of course headed by Manjushri, but includes the eminent gurus such as of course Nagarjuna, Buddha Palita, Chandakirti, etc. And then again on staying with the left and right, we have just below those two lineages the Kadampa schools, the instructional, the Lamrim school, and the textual school, or the textual school of the Lamrim, of the Kadampa lineage, and then again just below them the new Kadampas, or the Geluk lineage, and then a series of lamas, at the center of which is of course Lama Tsongkhapa, and these are the same on both sides of the central figure of Guru Shakyamuni. And then again in the front, just below the throne of the central figure, we have our own root guru, surrounded by all the teachers from whom we have received teachings. And that's again around those, and then just next to those are the different sets of the tantras, the highest yoga or Anatara yoga set, the yoga set of tantras, the charya and the kriya sets of tantric deities, and that they are all present. And then again below them we have all the Buddhas, the various sets of the Buddhas, of the 1,000 Buddhas of this fortunate eon, etc. Then the Bodhisattvas, the Arhats, the hearers and solitary realizers, then the Arhats, Bodhisattvas, the Dakas, Dakinis, and all the Dharma protectors. And that's from the heart center of all the figures in the mirror field, and light rays emanate, inviting all the wisdom beings from their natural abodes, and the wisdom beings come and dissolve into all the figures of the mirror field. And so that, even at this level, you can see that's quite a complicated visualization to try to generate, and it can be quite difficult to do that. And so, but even if it lacks clarity in our mind, we should have the idea, the notion in our own minds that actually it's there, that all these enlightened beings are present in this form in front. And that then with habituation it can become more and more clear, and you can add more and more detail. But of course it's very acceptable that it's at the very beginning like this, something quite difficult to visualize. And so that, but as is the case, there is nothing that does not become easier through habituation. So by paying attention and by gradually trying to generate the merit field like this again and again, we will get more clarity and more stability in our visualization. And this is just the nature of the thing. If you give it the time, it will become more clear. And we know this is the case because of so many pointless things that we can visualize without any difficulty at all.
这个彻底旁边呢，这个比较照顾周末呢，这个俺把面生着，大概那些要么是来个我个地头呢就我们个，让个地头呢就我们个呀，他们呗，他扎死也吃，这个用这个扎死也吃，俺大概那些现在这个俺抓的这个生着，他这马上我买把鱼，什么去，俺得大个，得我对着得我不，是吧？你对吧？东岸的东岸个直接的你对面嘛，东岸个那点就是什么的呢？得他了没白给，俺告诉的凝结。是吧？俺在这个初心太大了，给俺原来这些边的贵原的、苏原的、土原的、这个原的了说，原来这个这些边可能对吧？俺对吧的了，我这个对吧，当然对吧，一这个对吧了说了，我在这个团呢，我当恐怕写着，我在这。
And so so then we try to maintain that visualization of the merit field throughout, and that then the visualization is completed by visualizing in the space all around us. All kind mother sentient beings, and we kind of isolate certain members of that just to make it real for us, like our parents in this life, our family, our friends. We try to visualize them in the space all around. We visualize those who are kind of neutral. We have a neutral attitude towards then those for whom we have a dislike, and perhaps they have a dislike for us as well. We kind of don't get on, and they fall into the category of sort of enemy, and then those who are our friends and so on. So we try to make it actual real people in there, in amongst the whole concept of all sentient beings, of the 6 realms of existence. But we really feel that they are there, incomplete, without anybody missing, and that all these sentient beings, they want happiness and they don't want suffering, just as the same as we are. But they are totally bereft of the happiness they want, and they are completely tormented in every minute by the suffering that they do not want. And so this brings forth a sense of compassion from our side, and we try to sustain that sense of compassion for all those sentient beings, while simultaneously with our focus on the merit field in front and contemplating the qualities of all the figures in the merit field, the enlightened beings, of their enlightened qualities of body, speech and mind, and of skillful means, and that this brings forth in us the sense of faith, kind of a triple featured faith, which is faith, clarity of manifest faith, and a faith of conviction.
我对来讲，刚才这说的凝结是个的这个可说的，他这个可说的他中间同样过来，他凝结给什么的多，他们都我让做同的什这个往下了难的，但是咱们了起码也呢，俺那什么叫他们叫凝结给是多少好不的，是吧？开始了团结也不同说了，凝结给就差不了，俺也得从那上用过多，但中间也不上了，当然他。这个身边是个的人才来讲了，他刚才这个这个说的，这刚才这他刚才来牛个希望这人才来讲了，俺东个拿出去，另外对俺搞这个东个主业东个，他对俺他把对这个东个嘛，他把买的人账，俺或者人家给出来呢，人家给土也中国土啊，俺第二人家是个对东个来拿话的了，没设备的了，人家是个话，是吧？讲把是对，俺电话的电对的了，讲把是个话。我对对吧？但我说往下咱们了，往下来拿我咱们，中间什么当我就往下来拿我咱们结为呢？俺这个团结也不有个点这个审结出来，你这个都是靠不来的。我但中间什么当呢？这个可以个东个那当也不什么可以呢？说了一年你这个月这个去，你这个多也去，我对了，你这个我对，对了，拍把主要什么都用途了吧？我对了，我对那个吃不吃的多，我对了，
A word on this compassion that we try to generate when we're focusing on all sentient beings. This must be a compassion which arises based on a reasoning, and that's not just based on our senses, the information coming into us from our sense consciousnesses. And that's because it's very difficult to generate compassion for all sentient beings just on the basis of what we see, hear, and so on. Because, of course, we will see certain sentient beings who are manifest in suffering, and so that brings forth that sense of compassion. But then others seemingly doing very well, don't seem to have any problems, and may be quite rich. And that rather than feeling compassion for them, we might feel, oh, I really want what they have. I would like to, live the life according to what they want. And so you can see there's a limitation there. So here we have to really consider sentient beings as being shackled by karma and mental affliction. And because of that, they are open to all the different categories of suffering that are available. The suffering being the pain, mental and physical, that is quite manifest, and then the suffering of change, and then most specifically pervasive suffering, which actually covers all sentient beings regardless of their external circumstances. And so when we have an understanding of suffering to that extent, we can see that there is no sentient being that is not worthy of compassion, because they are all suffering or subject to suffering. And so here, this is the kind of compassion we want to generate. And that feeling that comes with that compassion is a sense of being unable to bear that others are suffering. And that just as love is defined as wishing only for the happiness of the other. And so it's kind of, these are the definitions that we need to go by. And here, again, to emphasize that when we interpret the world based on just our senses, we can see the limitations of our understanding and our capacity, especially to generate something like compassion. And that, and the point, of course, is that when we feel that sense, that extent of compassion, it becomes automatic, the desire to want to benefit, to want to help.
Because jumsen to ne samlo tang ayina, jumsen de dewa de dungan mi de. Ane da ne se ane jige da rawa me ba ane da dungan ge shwa do yiba. Ane jumsen de to ne da ni ji ke ba yina, ane ra ne ba ke ge je me de ni ji ke tu ye chi. Da on bi she ba ge nangzu 담을 제바이나 아니 내가 기억을 니지 계속 하고 싶으시래. 하고 싶으셔. 다 좀제도 내 줘바이나 아니 라는 내가 기억을 니지 그 국업 위에 되게. 자기도 안 되는 심지어 솔레인데 니지 게투에지. 안 뒤도 담아서 배치 제고도.
So we must work at this level of reasoned compassion. And that it's something that will really develop and we can actually cultivate because it's based on reasoning. And here it starts by understanding that we all want happiness and nobody wants suffering. This is the same for all living beings. And that we can see how, just like us, so many sentient beings powerlessly suffer. They have no choice in the matter. They suffer because of all the different categories of suffering there. And so if we don't have a kind of understanding in that sense based on reasoning, that we are then just interpreting our reactions to others based on our sense or our coarse level of thinking, so that if for example, somebody harms us, it's kind of like acting against our interests, it's going to be practically impossible for us to develop compassion for somebody like that. We'll be having quite the opposite, really. So you can see how limited one is when one doesn't establish these kind of positive emotions based on reasoning. And that we can see through developing compassion based on reason, that we can see that there is nobody who falls outside the remit of that compassion, of my compassion. There's no exceptions to the objects of my compassion. And so that means then one is able to be open to all opportunities to show that compassion and to offer help and benefit.
남주 나라족에 니지 계단 좀제 시라 삼로 땅거 요 말. 좀제 말라 도나 안 저 옹비 셰발라 낭주 좀 되게 간에 샤로 근데 쇼게 닝지 계산라 권다 네바 계산 창고도 그래서 다들 그 좀샘 라 마덴베게 아니 닝지 기고 요바자 디차버와
And we can see really how, when we go about
미치고 지잖아 쇼게 닝지 기고 요래 권다 다 닝지 파샤들 네바 계산 레무파
and we can see, the disadvantages, I guess you'd say, of operating one's limited compassion just based on coarse, shallow feelings, based on our sense interpretations. So this is the way we usually go about. We usually don't. Manifest our compassion based on reasoning, and that this can then leave us open to just having this kind of very incomplete, watered down sense of compassion based on the senses. So that for the very same person, in the morning, we might be feeling good towards them and feeling compassion for their suffering. But for the very same person, by evening, we can have a totally different attitude. We might want to harm them because our compassion has kind of no depth to it.
어디를 다들 저도 그 닝지 천이 상거요 다들 닝지에서는 조 되자소로 차되기도 와 소수 되바도 투바 여자 닝지 기계 소수 되바도 마도 와서다 마케트 란 좀세서도 그 되자 차되기도 와
And so this is referred to as a not fully characterized sense of compassion, an incomplete compassion. And one of the main obstacles to really cultivating compassion is the attachment, desire and attachment. And so that we operate from that sense of compassion. Now, even the compassion that we do display is self-serving, can often be like just for fulfilling our own interests. And of course, many problems arise because of this. Many problems. And indeed, many of the problems of the world that we know about arise because of this.
그래서 닌제 천이 상황이 깨달라 아니 배준제 닌제 천이 상황이 깨달라 배준제들 아니 좀제 삼을 당 것도 좀제 삼을 당 것도 공부 시험을 잡을 참아 시험하잖아 좀제 삼을 당네 아니 예발이다 다 뒤중아이나 아니 소소로 내가 게임을 해봐 가요 말이야 좀제가 돈에요 아니 닌제 깨토가 인도 아니 그 닌제 깨서 유대 소소로 내가 게임을 해봐 가요 말이야
And so therefore we really need to concentrate on developing this fully qualified compassion based on reasoning, and that so that we can go about our practice, go about our day, and where we hold all beings as worthy of compassion, as objects of my compassion. Rather, and you make no distinctions between those who harm and those who benefit, that they are equally a qualified object of compassion.
다가는 시게 동의 그 주야고 심바이나 아니 동의 용에 뒤 신은 너밖에는 용거 요바인자 아니 다 현지가 소소로 너밖에 봐이나 뒤 동의 그 주주고 요바인자 아니 델로 컨트롤사 주차면 인지 숙체도 줘야지 용어 대중고도 갖고 좀 자도는 삼을 당게디.
So the reasoning again really furnishes the proper response to all the kind of interactions that we have in the day, because it's really through understanding the cause of suffering, really in its most comprehensive and most subtle way, that informs our mind when, for example, say somebody is harming us in any way, that we can understand that what they are engaging in is creating the cause of their own suffering. And so this is something that automatically informs us that rather than my reaction with anger, I can respond with compassion, because I understand where they're at in a very kind of deep and comprehensive way.
다니서 동해라 다 동해를 미도베 니지 깨와 마세 동해 유딜래야 셰베토네 아니 니 가서 미도베게 미도베 미세바지 깨고 도와 이 중간에다 용도고 도와
And so it's not just then that the compassion that is focused on the being finding others suffering and others manifest suffering unbearable, but it actually is a compassion that goes beyond that. That even they find the cause. That if somebody is engaging in creating the cause for their own suffering, they find that unbearable.
what did it 최시소로 제전다가 제 어딘데 전에다 지금 심절을 비빙인지 아니 개와 다들 소싱되다라 미비네 대와 와다 된데 시간에는 고바시에 어딘데
And so then that's the proper attitude for say listening to the following teaching would be to have this sense of compassion for all sentient beings all around, and at the same time a faith towards all the members of the merit field in front.
안데 저 관에 마지 다 지금 다 람름 세트 아니 지금 간사 레 당보 와지 간사 레 당보 와지 아니 지금 레 당보 와지 다 지금 아니 지금 가서다 지금 가서다 대도 지 간에 아니 지금 가서다 지금 가서다 대도 지 간에 지금 가서다 사줄 람가 림그 조제는 산디에 고마 토비지 대하고 요래 안디 대하고도 안 고신이 된주네 제전다 신이 된주다 안 다가는 신이 지금 어디를 전다 신이 된주자 안에 되네 된주니가 다 치워미다 발라서 어디를 전다 간제 지금 치워미다 봐 안에 되네 다 로다 된주 되게 시 된주 시에서도 안에 된주디야 규르고 매도 치워니 봐 남친님에 다 치찬에 매바 차기 매바 개와 실력고 봐 개와들 년주도 된주니도 녀봐 다 년주를 개와이나 아니 지금 녀석을 동네 데데데 요다 아니 델레 타발라 아니 아까서데 다 가자 지금 타답라 아니 잡루아 매바시 된 거다 거다 어디를 전 어디 잠루고 내다시 아니 데네 딜레데네 아니 미케 주부 수좀 송고다 어디를 전 다가서 롭트롭 진짜 스트라사 안 디나네 다 가자 지금 가서데 지금 땡 켜봐진 예발라 아니 가서데 남이 게된게 아니 루톱 거다 아니 디 유튜브 거다 와다들 가서 롭스 슈사버 어디를 ချက်
And so then it's, the category of the text that we are presenting here is known as the graduated path series of texts, or lam rim, and that they are designed so that one person who is a beginner can use the information therein, practice that information, and be able to proceed along the 10 grounds and the 5 paths to attain the state of enlightenment. And that so it's very extraordinary what is being offered. And that here we begin with the how to correctly relate to the spiritual teacher as the first essential topic matter, and then it moves on to really detail what is known as a precious human rebirth, and that how really extraordinary it is to have something which is so difficult to attain and so meaningful when we have it, and but also so it's saying that as good as that is, it doesn't last long, and we will perish and we will die, and that because the time of the death is definite, the time of death is indefinite, and only at the time of death, only our spiritual practice will be any benefit to us at the time of death. After death, we do not simply go out of existence, so we must again take another rebirth, and that's based on the karmic imprints on our mind stream, and that one very negative prospect is that we end up in what are known as the lower realms, and so that's the next subject matter of the graduated path, detailing the specific sufferings related to the different lower realms, and that here it's offered that in order to avoid that eventuality, we we should take refuge in the Buddha and the Dharma and the Sangha. So then there's the detailed subject of going for refuge and taking on the refuge precepts, and included in that is a description of the 10 main non-virtues that should be avoided, so that we can take on the ethical conduct of refraining from these 10 non-virtues. And in the context of that as well, in this text we were offered an extra 8 ripened qualities to go on top of having a precious human rebirth, that left you in an extraordinary advantageous position to be able to practice. And we've just covered that subject now in the terms of naming those 8 qualities, naming their function, and that and indeed the causes that bring them about.
마음발 못으네 아니 디기 유튜브 하도 받잖아 돌아당 집에 서로 잡으러 밤에 깔래시 잡고 사사사 깔래자 아니 보고 라바다 보고게네 미도 제말 패마도 왔잖아 다른 나와 기보자 우 돌아당 와서 디스타버서 잡으러 좋았다 밤하게 우 깔래 잡잡잡 파마제 우 깔래 잡잡잡 우스 사마도 받자 투만이 받자 깔래 잡고 난 보고 라발테 부 처음에 줘봐 이나 네 카도들 셋 소소게 미도 제만 삼로 마다오다 나라도 개왕가마데 같이 싶자 미루 렌토에서 아니 쳇다리 아니 개와 치마 편제가 돈다지 좀 이나 사야 통에 고에 근데 장로 고커네 치마이나 아니 지 미루 레든 조조로 와 아니 되네 아니 다 시사소나 아니 미루 레게 아니 규지도 매바이나 아니 냐솔 게도로 와다 펑부로 와 what 디소라지 다 차그레 수고 여러 다 what 차그레스 때에 임바이사 아니 쳇디 안다 제가서도 치마 편제 원도 공부 뚝뚝 왔지 진짜 치마 원도 공부 두에 생긴데 저 렌제 송 용고도 렌제 미게 주고 그게 지금 송자 렌제 송의 용도다 원도 좀 더봐 임바 이나야 항상 그야 말은 원도 다른 것도 탑되었다 시부주 항상 뭐도 동해도 와 안 데모가 치마 편제 연소 마게 딩민도 와 타처문도 와 연소 계시기로 와 유튜브나 뭐도 좀 항상마다 다 되네 임바 인자 아니 타바 토고도 서디 기부 팅기도 다 타바 토발라 렌제 송에 땡라 아니 타베기 객조와데 단지 머리 바니 반사 코아 코겐 단지 머리 바니 뭐 다음에 또 베셔라 공부도 와 다디인데 아니 타바 톱두고도 와 디면은 타바 톱두고면도 와 타바 톱두고면도 와 어때 디엔자들 기부 팅시기로 와 어때 다다다디 기부 중거도 저 렌제 송에 때는 아니 그냥 송을 막게 받지는 제주 댄스 톱도 왔지 최주에 리댄스 렌도 왔지 어때
So that's here the emphasis on the kind of subjects of precious human rebirth and these 8 ripened qualities, which include longevity, charisma, and so on. And that here it's important to understand how extraordinarily precious this opportunity is, and to really use these conducive conditions that we have gained, and to make the most of this life. And that here we don't want to really be self-deceiving in using all of our time in this life just to satisfy what are known as, the what is it? Food for our sense of just feeding our stomach, our appearance, and our reputation. And so saying this is a terrible, disastrous emphasis to have on your life, and that it is also really destroying the great effort that you actually went to in previous lives in order to engage in proper ethical conduct, to lay down the causes that gave rise to this precious human rebirth in this life. And so here, and it's also, you're also destroying your future happiness by just wasting your life in this way. And so it's like parents who work so hard to make enough money to then pass it on to their children, and their children just blow it and waste all that money. And so it's a very similar situation, that we work so hard in previous lives to get to where we are now. But if we waste it on meaningless activities, just emphasizing the sensual satisfactions, then we will also have destroyed our future happiness. And so here, very much the emphasis at this point in the graduated path presentation is that we must really take account and take a very strong account of the great advantage we have in being born human as we are now, and that here we must first of all ensure that when we do die, as we inevitably will, and that we have at least laid down the causes to attain another precious human rebirth in future life, and that we must be very, very careful that we at least do that much, and that in order to guarantee that, the main practice for the person of this level of capacity, which is known as the kind of elementary or basic capacity, is the practice of the law of cause and effect, the law of really engaging in good ethical conduct. And that this is fine for a person who has that sense of aspiration. Their aspiration is to attain a fortunate rebirth in the future, and that is as a human being or as a celestial being, and be able to continue on their spiritual practice. But of course, when they become more aware of the path, they realize that even if that's the case, it's a good start. But there's no security in taking a fortunate rebirth as a human being, because if you don't lay down the proper causes, you're going to awaken negative causes that will send you to a low rebirth very easily once you die. And so there's kind of like this sort of very, very unsureness, because you're still in what's known as cyclic existence, and that as long as you're there, you are open to great suffering. And so that then starts to fertilize the notion in that practitioner's mind to work towards something of a more lasting happiness, and that means taking what's known as the aspiration to liberation from cyclic existence entirely, and that person is known as the mediate capacity or intermediate capacity being. And so their objective is not just to take a fortunate rebirth, but to escape cyclic existence altogether. And they isolate the main cause of cyclic existence as being grasping at a self-entity, and recognizing that the direct antidote to that is to develop the wisdom of selflessness. And so they work on that. So that is the person of a medium or intermediate capacity. The teachings that we have dealt with so far are all in the category of the person of a basic or elementary capacity.
기부 충고다 나는 어제 기부 충고가 람 가도돼 기부 충고데 다다데 기부 충고다 투모 람 당가서데 기부 첨빌람 테 충고다 투모 람 쓰고요 다 기부 충고 람 잠데 좀다 이거 출루 간갈라데 배제 교디 요래 요데게 가서 치방 원도 거 맞더게 배나다 이슈 개와 치마스다게 송고모도다 이슈게 이게 happen like 게지 송고도와 대공원도 교사하고 와도 이거 배제 병감게 할게 소진사래 다들 대공원도 교직 송고도 와들 진짜 거쳐 저 선바상버지에다 샬라 페바 주고에다 안지가 쇠센체 고에다 추림 송고에다 지금 갈가서 송고 열어 봐. 아다들 좀다 이거 출로 패치하게 원도 교직 된데 된거 예설에 된대 예사래 다 되네 저다 뭐도 교토바 이네 그 동네 매워 말에 그 동네 요래다 그래서 뭐도 들라 뭐도 하미 엔 다가니 신 답변을 하마이 하래 되벨라 수가벨라 수메가라 다가 세제포도 그 코아바 차대 요래 남신은 그 레가제 상부 임바이네 레데 삭제가 레 임바인자 가자서네 제부 롱제네 안 가자서 마메바 차고 상메 레메바인지 어때 거기 간가요 다되네 코안에 타르 쓰는데 다디 타바 때는 다 코안에 다 코에 중을 쓴 거. 코에 줘도 단지 말이 뭐 뒤에 뭐 다음에 또 뭐 다되네 남배 전문에 되네 고주고도 안 권나 받아 나봐봐 이거 개바티네 시도도 와 먼저 줘도 배제 간가를 띄고 있어래
So therefore, the subject matter that we just related relates to the person of elementary capacity, or as it said, it's the path in common with the being of elementary capacity, meaning that this is not something separate from what one of a more advanced spiritual nature will practice, but it's in common with. And that, having said that, you can see that most of what's discussed here, the general tenor of discussion, is kind of reminiscent of what's found in other spiritual traditions also. Say, for example, the Christian tradition, when they talk about, they don't necessarily overtly talk about fortunate rebirths, but heaven could be easily understood or interpreted as something like that. Say, for example, heaven might equate to desire realm, celestial realm. And that the fortunate rebirths, of course, include a human rebirth, the Asura realm, and the desire realm, celestial beings. And so heaven might be one of those desire realm celestial beings. And we can see also that in the path of Christianity, there are beautiful teachings on kind-heartedness, on patience, on helping others, and so on, ethics, and so on. And so you can see there's commonality between the different spiritual traditions. So it's like they're accumulating virtuous karmas in the kind of in the Buddhist parlance. But you can see here that there's a commonality between the different spiritual traditions. However, from Buddhism point of view, just to attain a fortunate rebirth is like a good start, but it is certainly not free of suffering, and that here one is still in a way compromised in even the virtue that one creates, because it's referred to as contaminated karma, and contaminated karma has the quality of exhaustion. It will run out if it's not kind of replenished consistently, and that it has a limited capacity. And so here, the from the Buddhist point of view, one must contemplate getting out of cyclic existence altogether, not just aiming for a fortunate rebirth within cyclic existence, but attaining liberation from cyclic existence entirely. And it's at this point then that the paths of Buddhism and other spiritual traditions diverge, and Buddhism is distinguished by having these more far-reaching aspirations.
다 냐왈게 다 레냐바선 냐왈게 두그랬다 배 냐왈베 라도서 타레 요바서 숨고면 도와 반 남배이나 냐왈게 베 랩톱치보사 냐왈게 바이나 간zam스나 타토고 삭제를 내고 온 게바 인자 고 타토로 와 가서 고 세줘요래 그래서 다 좀세 돈에 셔바이나 고 세고에제 잡고 삭제를 내리 뭐 인자 고 게바 먹고 내바이나 남시나 고 타토로 와 타토로 어떻게 전 왔다 내게 개발 용도도 왔다 된자 안 되다 아니 동해녀에도 코아바인자 코에 자와 가는 단지 말이 버려 뒤년부터 담에 도배 실합승에 됐다 시자를 여봐 씨바 여봐치 시절이 요바 인자 아니 나라서 겁나 깨요 되겠지 다지 머리 봤는데 아니 거 건배 온거 요거를마도 거 잡된 처만 매봐서 거 매봐 차투 그랬어 안 남자 타바 톱투 그랬어 거다 어때 다 지금 리베토네 때라 봤네 아니 타바스도 요바 두고도 와 어때죠
So, as far as we know from the Christian point of view, if one manages to get to heaven, then that's a permanent state, that one is there forever. And then conversely, if one is unfortunate enough to go to hell, then that's a permanent state as well. And so there's no kind of distinction within Christianity between contaminated and uncontaminated karma in that sense, because of course even on contaminated karma, at least it has the quality of running out, of being exhausted, and therefore one can change one's situation. But from Christianity's point of view, heaven and hell, once you're there, that's it, and there is no other change. From the Buddhist point of view, they examine what is known as the root cause of cyclic existence, and this is the mental attitude of grasping at the notion of a self-entity, and that here, we find that that this has its antidote of a wisdom realizing selflessness, and so they can posit that there's something that goes beyond than just cyclic existence itself, to reach a sense of liberation, if one is able to deal with, eradicate that root cause. And that one of the reasonings behind why one can do this is that, again, like all our mental defilements, the root cause of self-grasping at a self-entity is primarily based on just strong habituation to our thinking like that. And so we need to erode that mistaken understanding of how the self exists. And that this is then a gradual process of developing that wisdom of selflessness. And so it's saying that it is therefore possible to be able to do this and to attain liberation. Gyatang Guju, ne koso gilla gyatang Guju.
주고 들어와.
Shugu gyatang Guju, gilla. De koso di Geshipotawa gi koso chiktoro. Veo bum wombole. Sei di gunso prewa mike. Shogusegilla.
제를 보지 니제서 람조 줄라스 신이 참에 됐어.
The chick the gongla the chick say di gunsok
군소
rewa mike
치매 주가 달라 잡서 됐다 대단히서 비우고 뭐불려서 체대 군소 rewa mike 치매 주가 달라 죽자 셰송바데 다 간제 저 가서 저 체디래 아니 치마 개체와 쓰네 아니 체디 되네 그다 고마데스와 아니 치매 그다 즉된다 주베다 다 개체와 쓰네 죽으랬어 다시 뭐 저를 뭐 얘기죠 람조 줄라 천지 참회 때 셰송바데 다 간제 저 어다 간제 다간제 저 람초 둘라 천지 참회다 람초 다 산제 고바 두발라 아니 데 두통게 아니 저 때 개바체 거와 천지 참회 때 천지 참회 때 셰송베서 고바 임베 태도 라네 지대 잡다 저거서다 저거 체다 가도 이네 안디 돌아다 가제 라네 케토 게데 미게와 뽀와다 개와 두발라 배자 그래서 님부 돕죠. 그래다 다 소소게 가서 배전데 제가 지금 할때 가라 좀 있다. 지가서도 녀모도 숙체 공부 숙체 어디에 지나는 가서도 게데 미게와 뽀와다 개와 두발라 배바제나 아니 님부 돕 충전에 녀모 돕체에서 잘라 다 계세 미개외에서 그거 이나 미개와 저 그거 이나 대 그거다 학급에 돈에 아니 님부터 없이 거네 작동 치고 그랬어. 작동을 배워 잡고서.
And so that's, we've been discussing then the point of really taking the emphasis off of this life and putting the emphasis of our efforts and practice on future lives, and not being deceived by giving all our attention just to the mundane affairs of this life. And so this is the main thrust of the thinking for the person of elementary capacity. And there's a quote from Geshe Potawa from his Blue Book of Spells, where he says, do not generate hope for the worldly excellence of this life. You should apply yourself to the goals of the next life. And again from J. Rinpoche Lama Tsongkhapa, he said, for the supreme path, meaning the path to enlightenment, the basis, we should have a basis of all the full set of characteristics, and this is kind of really setting a foundational attitude to be able to do that. And that so therefore it's really saying that the thought here is that we should do our very best right here and now, practice as much as possible, and that even in over 100 times, if we are in trying to if we trying to engage in abandoning non-virtuous and to develop virtues, and we make every effort, we can see because of our beginning status that the antidotes that we have are weak and the defilements are very powerful. And so here we need to have a kind of a process in place that if we are stained by non-virtue on the mind, that we can somehow confess and purify it. And this is done in the context of what are known as the four opponent powers.
이나야 안디 게 배나 콘도 숙셔보 사와이나 아니 겨워 좀 두고 요래. 뭐다 요한테 또 어디를 전 다가자 어디를 요구 다들 이번에자 다 미겨워지 그 사와 예바이나 디 하고 미겨워 이번 시에바지. 또 먼저 럽좀 제데 시에쳐도 지금 요라. 아니 미겨워 봐 시에네 아니 뭐디 아니 샤동제와이나 다가자 로다 케바게 아니 디바 쳐보 사와이네 아니 충주 차도 그래 소에 들어 그 개발스게 아니 딕바디 샥다 싱그레 딕바 샤다 시온데 아니 그 딕바 톱치고 싸워이네 그 레라고 잡고 다도에 그치 달룸부스도 다 딕바 샤다 마싱게 지금 딕바 충주 싸워이네 가자서 딕바도 톱치고 쉬고 차도에지 그 샤다 싱게 매도 그 딕바 패두고 요라 어디는지 아니 샤야디 게지 뭐 차트도 와 샤야들은 그 톱치고네 샤야디 게지 뭐 됐어 어디를
And so this brings us to the illumination of the kind of certain features of karma itself. And it says, of course, that from a virtuous cause will result a fortunate or happy result. From a non-virtuous cause will result an unfortunate or a suffering result. And that here, these are principles of the law of cause and effect. But it's saying too that within there, that if we have engaged in non-virtue, we can affect the karma on our mind stream through purification, through confession and purification, so that we can ameliorate the effect or eradicate the effect, the suffering effect. And likewise, it must be noted that even if we create a virtuous karma, and that it can also be destroyed by powerful anger on our part. It can kind of burn the karmic imprint so that we don't experience the happy results of it. And so these are features of karma. And so here it's saying that then within that context, the knowing the process of confession and purification is actually very, very important. And that it's said that a master can engage in great negativity, but it will not be such a disadvantage for them. Why? Because they know how to purify and purify rapidly. Whereas a fool, even though they commit only a very slight negativity, can be greatly disadvantaged by that. Why? Because they don't know how to purify. And this illuminates another principle of karma, that it shows great increase. If it's not dealt with, it will increase on one's mind stream.
我感觉这个捏巴的，当俺做托马没完呢，俺考了捏掉了，考了捏掉印度，俺个说他这个说的来捏巴塞巴了，他的没有嘛，来上班到啥有个的，因为来捏巴的上班见到他上，来捏巴其他到家因巴的羡慕好的，좀 전에 중조지 가라 하고서 먼저 양고 제가 저도 누가 시험을 도와 독자 제일 누가 전부 쉬울 도와 이 가는 다 된거 열어서는 레니 받들 누가 검시 축차 요마데 다 세고 싶었지 누가 저 삼로다는 수주만 못 삼로다는 갈래 가면 도와 다 검을 잡 지금 야가 삼로다는 로데 지야 되면 도라 당한 요고 챙기도 와
And so that, and then in relation to, what kinds of karmic imprints that we might have stored on our mind stream, that are, on the one hand, we can understand that we've been accumulating karmas since beginningless time. And so there's innumerable imprints on our mind stream. And what kind of imprints are they? We can say that they are certainly some positive imprints on our mind stream, but we can say that the majority of them will be negative imprints. And why is that? Well, we need look no further than the whole process of habituation. And that, when you try to do virtue, you know how hard it is, and you know how difficult it is to get it right, and you know how tiring it is. But when you try to do something negative, you know how easy it is, you know how easy it is to get all the conditions right, and you're never exhausted doing it. One can happily engage in non-virtue for the whole day and still be fresh at the end of it. But when you try to do virtue, you find it quite exhausting. This shows what you've been habituated to and what kind of imprints are on your mind stream.
그래서 섬서 컨트롤을 사자 셈마기 버려 주면 엔디 돈달을 중자 삼로 뭐 안에 건다 생각은 님하고 삼 당도도 와 당도도 다 지금 산계의 윤대 잡아된다 당 장바의 니제 저거 kom 인데 kom다 간잠 손에 흔히 고고도
The one example that I need go no further, that when you get angry, you notice how the anger not only stays a long time, but how easy it is for you to the mind to get into that anger and start thinking of all the self-justifying reasons for why you are angry and why the other person is 100% wrong, and you can stay up all night thinking about that, and still you're quite fresh in the morning. And there's it's a very kind of a sustaining way of using your mind because you're so well habituated to it. But then if you try to kind of say, okay, now mind, I'm going to contemplate the good qualities of the Buddha. I'm going to list all the wonderful qualities of love, etc. And watch how quickly you fall asleep.
그거는 로가 연구도 다들 그 공부 전부 여봐된다羡慕我的어떤 그什么人本来不충조지 뭐이네不충조지 뭐이네 그 공배 원게 그 저도 두개 절도에 내라고 야가 절도는 다 파마다 기계다 그 시작하고도 야가 시작하고도
And so again, like I think it's no need to go on further about it. It's very clear to what we are most accustomed and what we are most habituated to. Even when you look at small children, you can see how very quickly they turn to what is incorrect and what is negative and what is wrong, and then trying to teach them. It takes the incredible concerted efforts of the parents, teachers, and all those around to try and turn them towards a better way of thinking, a better way of doing. And this just shows, even from that age, how powerful the habituation to the negative is there in us.
다 먼저 샹동 제스도 아니 샹동 제가 좀 뭐 보여요. 다 샹동 법정부 삐다고 싶어 종아에는 종을 줘서 삐다고 창서는 동해촌은 영모와 자유래. 다 되네. 야 리제 동해 영화이나 배나 깨바지 영고이나 록하셔 영을 드려야 되네. 배나 동해 규르부 영고야 되네. 배나 로마부 영화 되나 이나 배나 다와직니 동해 영네. 아니 영모와 차트. 배나 연송을 깨지만은 게임은 안에 체들라 배는 캔서가 나서다고 나네. 아니 레니 바 도토야 타고다. 야나 아니 저 헤텍다고 권나야도 도권나야 되는데 나네. 아니 다토야다. 아 가신 동에 촌은 영고하다. 거짓말 뭐 쉬고 좀 것도 다다. 가서 소속에 님부터 없이 아니 삐딱을 온 거 영어 되겠도.
And so the way in which the purification confession practice works it's got many different layers to it, or many different stages of how well and how it purifies. For example, that's like with the perfect application of the confession and purification practice, one does not have to experience the negative results of karmas that one created at all. But most times it's kind of like it's a case of really just lessening the negative consequence of the negativities that you have created. And so through practice of purification and confession, that as rather than having to spend a long life in the lower realms, you may experience, for example, cancer in this life, and or in rather than having to experience horrible suffering for a long time, you may experience suffering for a shorter period of time, or the greater suffering that you caused may only manifest as, for you, a headache or a stomach upset or something like that.
어디래? sometimes 가서 지금 미 가서도 딱 가서 저 냠내 약보 제대게 아니 저 가서도 저 초바 약보 된데 인되게 저 비다고 약보 제대게야 수고시라 나되게 다다 대고시라 매대가 뭐 용되게 용해요래. 그래서 디바 다외 다소스 때내 자고 있어요. 야 저 겨왕아마 다발다 레니 봐서 뭐 요러와요. 근데 다에 다도부터 용고 있어요. 오늘 용고 있어요.
So that sometimes we kind of witness people who are practitioners, very kind-hearted, very dedicated practitioners, dedicating their whole life to spiritual practice, but at the same time experiencing really prolonged ill health. And that rather than judging that, we see that as a good sign that they are purifying negativity. Because we all have so much negativity on our mind streams from the beginning this time, that it's going to manifest if we're going to purify it.
근데 이마서 모두 동해 중앙이나 셈마기바 지죠마 동해 중앙이나 가거면 오 동해 중앙이나 오다 레니바 사사레 대부는 연구래 오다 다른 대부분 연구도 다 레니바 사와다 다 주고도 오서는 가거면 가고 이 중앙이나 아니 지금 도저 삼로 따시바이나 아니 지금 마시보다 레니바 그가 다른 데 고쳐봐쇼 산제가 고마 마도보다 레니바 그가 뒤 고쳐봐쇼 다 중앙이나네 아니 셈제 탐제가 레니바 사와가 아니 녜디 고쳐봐쇼 어디에 삼로 따는 나와 되게 아니 개월 납치부터 되어 있는 것도 와
So this is in fact a wonderful way in which we can transform suffering into virtue. That here, rather than being miserable and unhappy when we're experiencing any physical or mental suffering, we should really try to rejoice, actually. Because you say, well, I'm experiencing this suffering. And this is therefore the result of a non-virtue that I created in the past. And by experiencing it like this, it's purifying it. And so this is something I can be very positive about. This is really a good result. And so being able to deal with one's suffering like that is extremely important, very powerful. Not only that, but you can really up the ante, as so to speak, by really making it so much more meaningful, by saying, really, I accept this suffering because it's purifying my negativity. May I, be able to experience or respond to my suffering like this until, my death, until I attain enlightenment. And even more courageous, may I be able to take on the suffering of all sentient beings with that understanding. And so by the time you've finished, you're actually experiencing suffering, but you're at the same time accumulating very powerful positive karmas. I guess, of course, the other obvious lesson when we're encountering problems or suffering is to understand that, because this is the result, a consequence of negative karmas that I've accumulated, therefore do not engage in negative behavior, because this is what happens. So you get this really strong cautionary tale. You want to learn that lesson very clearly. And so that this is really proper Buddhist behavior, and that one is able to use whatever experiences one has to turn them towards virtue in this way and to avoid negativity. This is much more a genuine response rather than just talking about karma all the time, and that continually whenever anything happens to you, you're pointing the finger out and looking for something external to blame. And so that karma is constituted by both substantial cause and cooperative conditions. And indeed, the cooperative conditions can indeed be something external that is bringing about or helping to manifest this suffering. But the main cause is your responsibility, something that you laid down. If you didn't lay down the main cause, there's no way you would be experiencing this negativity or this suffering or problem now. And so this is where the responsibility lies. And so that when suffering arises, if we have that capacity to interpret automatically this as an opportunity to engage in virtue, to transform it into a possibility for virtue, then we're firmly on the path. So then you can view suffering in a totally different light. You say, wow, suffering is an actual cause for virtue for me. And that's why we say you can rejoice when suffering arises. And so this is this is what's known as mind training in Buddhism. Very powerful way of the alternative viewpoints to take. So it's master at being able to take inconducive conditions onto the path, taking suffering onto the path, like as has been explained. So this is why having what's known as what we have, a precious human rebirth, is so significant in Buddhism, because one can use it to establish the causes to attain enlightenment. And not only that, but in that context as well, to be able to take suffering onto the path like that, to take inconducive circumstances and to transform them into something positive and to use them to create the causes for enlightenment.
그래서 단단히 개치고 말이야. 마음바디 개치고 이 말이자. 아니 저 단대가 동에 대 마음백에 디기 유도고 돌아다 쉬우지 않고래도.
And so also one has that more far-reaching attitude, to say that this may not be so important to me now to be able to use suffering like this and transform it, but it will pay off in the future. And this is what's really important, to keep our viewpoint forward into the future.
What did it
Our focus.
What did it? 다 이내야 동해 중화다 삼로데 드레스다 아니데 배나 나차다 강에 중화도 아까 세다가 매다 되게 돼 배주다. 아니 당에 당도 라인데 셈게 돈에 매데 동해 당도 라인데 르비 돈에 자다지데 매데 디리니까 배주 당체네.
And of course, this is not a kind of a thing which is a piece of advice which says one must therefore discard any other way of overcoming our suffering. We have this mental attitude towards the suffering which transforms it into virtue, but at the same time we have to be practical, because the mental side is one thing, but we have physical needs. If they're physically feeling suffering, we're sick, then of course we should seek a medicine and good advice on how to overcome our sickness, and at the same time engage in the spiritual mind training.
그래서 셈게 자답게 매데 켈레제들 accept제들 셈게 매데 셈 자답 매데 약주래 켈레 맞잖아 동에 뭔가 요래 켈레잖아 동에 누가 요래 좋아 또 아니 루부타에 거야 갑도 그 뒤줄로 밥에 가르고도 돼 아니 송제 돈에 돈에 아니 르센니가 대단 줘나 야 개와 납차 두두로
And so it's said that the mind training is in accepting the suffering is the mental medicine for that suffering. And simply because if we can't accept, then it's only going to exacerbate the suffering, isn't it? It makes it even worse. And so if we combine that with dealing with the physical manifestation of that suffering through taking timely medicine and good medical advice, then we are maintaining that balance of body and mind fitness. Fitness for what? For being able to engage in virtue.
아니 예바 사바티에 아니 대단 주나 고 톱차 요구 요래 아니 톱차 요구 요바 인사 오늘다 아니 제고 동해 마요의 체도 아니 동해 마요의 체도 아니 지가서다 예부 톱시 거네 샤동 지에지 오들 리고도 아니 동해 고소 고소 사소나 아니 동해의 당도는 약수래 어디랬죠 로 베나 ngara zo mashi podo ge pen gewa da gawa la so beta an nawa da ani chiwe dunge podo tige peche kasar tende yangla chungni na ne da kacha de mige seba lemba seba sunga se tap chatu ani gewe tende tu ani tene mashi podo dunge kanga peche ten kya sabare da sele seba sunga se matabge da gyusa namshe den do baja sha gyusa chawache namshe den do baja sha ne da debu 다다 대부 녀에라 세바 렘바 세바송 세 마다가 바자들 오다 샥동 제 약수들에 다데서 개와 치마베데 동에데 다 샥동 제 두고도 와 제디에 마시베테도 아니 원조게 샥동 마시에데 동에데 샥가 다도에 오 가보래 녀와 시그래 다르스케 요마레 가서코 세바 렘바 소바송 세탑사니 아니 개베테데 두 아니 다다다 가시 텐데 가외 텐데 두고도와 로코레 개바 차차레 안데는 이마지 시외 텐데 와다데 메바소에 시라시라 요마레 고고주 사도와 다 고마주게데 와다 요레
And so that And so yes, the context of the four opponent powers of confession and purification is in order to be able to deal with the negative karmic imprints on our mind stream before they ripen into their suffering. And so that's the kind of like the smart approach to it. Once the karmic imprint has ripened and we are already experiencing the suffering, it can't be purified at that point. And the best attitude is that which has been explained of developing profound acceptance of that suffering. And so, within the 12 links of dependent origination, dealing with going through old age, sickness and death and so on. And prior to that is the craving, grasping, and craving, grasping.
Seba, leba, siba.
Siba.
Seba, leba. Takaja, pena, maribe kunela, lesa, namshe to the Baja Shariwa. Ta Baja Shats and the Lotongrama were their secret. Ta, Inaya, Kiawangama de la, that Chidro, and Chigalagatala, Seba, leba, siba, sungo to Joti, leg never top chair the Tangarwa. Tapanangazo Chavaina was a milake leg never the top chair the Tangsare. And did the me perceive to do. Then was a me Kewa letter. That Kewa lene, and that Kashipoto, tended ticket, that never saw a picture your money. Was to get she doing a manual to the Tiquata and Petcher your money. Castra, Seba Leba Seba so set up Sarwa, set up the me Kewa Lansare. And that Kashipoto in the ticket. In a Dungede and lamb to care you are in a Dunga Manu was so a picture your money. That carry yourself, Kewa Chima, not the silly Sebas will set up your less I or set up your title, cook up your.
And so that within the 12 links that we have, we reach that point, of the point of death. Where the karmic imprint is going to be awakened through the imprints of craving and grasping, and that can send us, then project us into the next life via the intermediate state, the bardo state. And if we have then awakened the karmic imprints to be reborn in the next life as a human being, then we'll go through.
For example, this life, this life, Kiawangamaki, Seba Leba Seba Song, Sweater was a midkeeper. That gave them my ship or the Tunga, the Meva Soto would also your money. Because what the picture.
And so that then we can take on that life as a human being in the next life. So you imagine that this is the scenario for us now, that we have taken on that life. Now, it means that we can deal with a great deal of our negative karmic imprints through purification and confession, through the four opponent powers. But we won't be able to deal with it all until we reach the point of death again in this series of the 12 links of dependent origination. And so that death will be inevitable because we've already started that process, and we can't purify completely enough until we reach that point of death. And so for us at this point is, yes, purify as effectively and efficiently as one possibly can, and then to be able to take the suffering that has ripened onto the path as efficiently and effectively as we can. And so that, but on the other hand, even in this life, if we can genuinely develop the mind of enlightenment, have a realization of that, and a realization, direct realization of emptiness on our mind stream, and then we don't have to go through the suffering of death in this life. Because our whole body transforms, and that we don't go through the suffering of death. It transforms into a wisdom body.
namdu ko mare really ko mare kabal sabada let over better than the America let over.
And so, yes, we don't need to travel by airplane or any other means of transport anymore. You just think, I'm going to America, and you're there.
What did I say? That didn't they share the
Okay, so we leave it there for today, and we'll uncover these actual 4 opponent powers in detail next week.
Get tissue the Tanda Marazo can I just have a Yinaya, getting a lamp that's my pleasure to wait to get my Komazu to get
So that the main 2 points for today is really to, first of all, to deal with the karmas that have not yet ripened, and deal with them by really powerful purification as much as we possibly can. And second is that those that are ripening for us, indeed, in any kind of a suffering or problematic way, and that we should try to take that onto the path and create virtue out of it.
What just Dunga lam the cat to Bayina, and so the Deva Junga lam the cat, Tamazo, Deva the Dunga, didn't you got lam like cat to Bayina? Should you be twinkling like cat to Bana, Rala Parche Yomare. Parche Yomar, Parche the Carrion, Deva Juna wants to do to last tangre. Dunga Jona, do to last tangre. Do to Tolatanga, Yomon Kigre. And Deva Juna, Yomon Kigre, and there's a quite you move to the Sati.
And this is so key, really. It's kind of fundamental in a way that to be able to take both suffering onto the path and take our happiness experience onto the path is just as important. And to see that whatever experience we have, then we can transform it towards virtue, and to really make that as kind of really the kind of twin pillars of our practice. If we do so, then we will have no obstacles to engaging in spiritual practice. And because you can see the opposite of the thing, isn't it? That usually the case is that when we're suffering, there's this tremendous sense of self-pity and wallowing in our own suffering. And so that wastes time and also opens the door to mental affliction, defilement. But similarly, when we experience happiness, we go gaga over how good everything feels and waste more time and open the door to mental affliction as well. And so you really need to kind of clean up our act in relation to both the experiences of suffering and happiness that we experience, and make sure that they are taken onto the path and turned towards virtue.
Australia football tawa ida biar tungure shora ine biar tungure
That's right. I sometimes joke about the way Australians, and indeed Australians and playing football, like if they win, of course they drink a heap of beer and get drunk. But if they lose, it's the same thing. They just drink a lot of beer and get drunk. So whether it's good or bad.
That did
And so that's that we need to have the opposite sort of a reaction or response, that whether it's happiness or suffering that arises, that we can deal with it with that sense of equanimity.
Yeah. 소신의 공부시 어디를 소신의 한 소신 맛 뒤에잖아. 내 남주다 지시 가서 검시를 잘하다 해야 봐. 근데 지시는 남주 검시를 잘하. 다 소신의 안에 가서도 그러니까 이게 냠내 진라 주변 라마데 안에 찍을 찍템 전에 안에 겨우 도지 장나 팀 겨우 도지 장체 안에 자지 쪽에다 삼다 주다면이야 안 지금 그래서 미래 장걸 라마 종가 약세게 주변에 제 약가담 라마 because you was something that the yajan jajan juge the samota juge lamatica together ya tim and jam janani la pa tim chen what did it chiche that's what jamba jambe yacha and then we get chujo suma de yachi la chiktem ya tim and rang chudongo lama chila rang de jawe lama la tim what that lama ngate set them in be mi pa chi jong what did it
And so then, just to describe what's known as the dissolution of the merit field, to finish with, again, in order to establish the habit of being able to more clearly do this. And so here there's a certain order in which this is done, and beginning with the lineage of the consecrated practices, that all the gurus that are within there, they dissolve upwards until they dissolve into the central figure, the top figure of Vajradhara. And that so Vajradhara remains in that same position in the merit field. And then we look to both the left and right of the central figure. And here, as we described, the lineage of the profound view and the lineage of the extensive practices, they are headed by Manjushri and Maitreya respectively. Now, all the members of the merit field that have been described below them, beginning with the gurus of the Geluk tradition, with Lama Tsongkhapa at the center, they dissolve into the different schools of the Kadampa lineages, and all those Kadampa lineages then dissolve into the respective profound view and extensive practices lineages, and then all those gurus dissolve into the figures of Maitreya and Manjushri there respectively. And then we take all of the different groupings of the Dharma protectors dissolving into the Dakas into the Dakinis, etc., all the way up through the Arhats, the solitary realizers, the heroes, the bodhisattvas, and the Buddhas, all the tantric sets, and they all dissolve, as well as all our gurus, into the root guru. And so that at this stage we are left with just 5 characters left in the merit field: Vajradhara, Maitreya, Manjushri, our root guru, and of course the central figure of Guru Shakyamuni Buddha. And then we just stop the dissolution process there and maintain a solid focus as much as we can on those 5 figures. It's a bit easier, isn't it, to just visualize 5 figures rather than the whole grouping.
Yeah. The caress got just the mango should delete that the chavaranga to those lelatua. And the letter that you can dodge it in the march, Chiwana march, and Lama Shajas party, Lama to party, and a jam giant their party. And because doing it, Dakaja Rang just Lama dear, and because of the Lama to and Tugal, Nasu, some such a what in a chen, what at that Lama to go to what's here.
So then we continue with the dissolution, and this begins with the figure of Vajradhara dissolving into the crown of the central figure of Guru Shakyamuni Buddha. And then the figures on the left and right of Maitreya and Manjushri, they dissolve into the central figure of Guru Shakyamuni Buddha. And then finally the figure of our most kind root guru dissolves into the heart of the central figure of Guru Shakyamuni Buddha.
That Lama Shajatuba, that Lama Shajatuba, what the Ganga Chaza Lama Shajatuba, the Lama Shajatuba, to Sanja Tanjika Tani Chasus, Kumbashe.
And that we see this figure, the last remaining figure of the merit field, Guru Shakyamuni Buddha, as being the embodiment of all the Buddhas of the 3 times. And again, using our placement focus or meditation to remain focused on that just for some time.
The Casa de Dumbetsanga Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Su Do Sa Shwa.
And then we can recite the name mantra of Shakyamuni Buddha. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni E Soha. 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 Om Muni Muni Mahamuni E Soha.
Om Muni Muni Mahamuni E Soha. Wataka je tobe tsenga de lamru bu yongso tobe tsenga na yore. Lamru yongso 가서 다 지금 또 심지어 탐제가 다 라마 샤자스 이제 고마 토베시도 파트다. 다 라마 샤자스 이제 고마 토발라 아니 다 랑거 리바트 가서는 그스님아 대신 자윈자서 모니 마음으로서 모니스데 노블스 요래 노블다 가서 precious juice precious 노블스 엄스도 아홍 구송토 다 산제 구송토 다 심지어 탐제 산제 고마 토베도 산제 구송토 뭐 주고 산제 구송토 뭐 주발라 안 람르 바스 냠서 랑거스 딱 가서데 기부 충모다 정다 쳐보 기 람르 바스 가서 모니 당보데 기부 충모자 모니 니바데 기부 딩자 마하모니스는 기부 치비람 안 냠서 랑와라 되네 안 산제 고마 토버레스 what 젬베 토네 사토네 야고 요래.
So that the meaning behind this mantra, Om Muni Muni Mahamuni E Soha, is really corresponds with, in fact, the whole graduated path to enlightenment, and that the Om is consisting of the three sounds representative of the body, speech, and mind of the Buddha, and that the first Muni means that which is precious, like a precious jewel, and the first Muni represents the being of elementary capacity. The second Muni, that of the being of intermediate capacity, and the Mahamuni represents the Mahayana, or the being of greater capacity. And so in the reciting the mantra, and this is something very good to recall while we are reciting it, it is that which is like a blessing for the entire graduated path to enlightenment teachings.
산제 좀 되게 공부 토발라 심지 탐제 산제 공부 토발라 산제 공부 토발라 몰람 자네 팽거 말이스 랑고드 만냠스 랑고레 슬고고도.
And so it's really behind that too, is saying that to attain the state of enlightenment, it's not enough just to make aspirational prayers. You actually have to realize the path of these three different capacities or scopes of being.
What did Timbetone and what did this someone what and Tagani Sunday because of the bigger Sunday to you, Casa, the Sunday Chimasa, Shugutina Mudu Shugasa, Shugu Keju Janina Lola, Keju Janina Casa, because Kushita Lama House, what is Sunday, Kushita Lama Tuadoji Chala saw there.
And so that yeah, and then here it's good to recite that prayer from the miraculous book of the Gelugpas. I think it's on page, if you have the translation, it might be on page 42. It starts, "My most divine Guru, Lord of the four Kayas."
Is that from the text? Is that in the text?
Yeah, it should be in the text. 44. Yeah. And so that is Supreme Lama Lord, embodiment of the four bodies, Munindra Vajradhara, I pray to you. Lama Lord, embodiment of unobscured Dharmakaya, Munindra Vajradhara, I pray to you. Lama Lord, embodiment of great bliss Sambhogakaya, Munindra Vajradhara, I pray to you. Lama Lord, embodiment of multiform Nirmanakaya, Munindra Vajradhara, I pray to you. Supreme Lama Lord, unity of all Lamas, Munindra Vajradhara, I pray to you. Supreme Lama Lord, unity of all tutelary deities, Munindra Vajradhara, I pray to you. Supreme Lama Lord, unity of all Buddhas, Munindra Vajradhara, I pray to you. Supreme Lama Lord, unity of all holy Dharma, Munindra Vajradhara, I pray to you. Supreme Lama Lord, unity of all Sangha, Munindra Vajradhara, I pray to you. Supreme Lama Lord, unity of all Dakas and Dakinis, Munindra Vajradhara, I pray to you. Supreme Lama Lord, unity of all Dharma protectors, Maninjavajradhara, I pray to you. Supreme Lama Lord, unity of all refuges, Maninjavajradhara, I pray to you.
我的说普助是大把手，他说普助是大，我的讲，我的讲，大概讲，让给接我了，别嘛的你们大约点结恐怕些，第一点，这样长的把你这个老妈的我大概接我们上普助，大约可是一边可是什么个点子就三节恐怕嘛都结束他搞过我的讲。
And so then. And so on our own crown, then we establish a lotus, moon and sun disk mandala seat, and with the purpose of inviting the central figure of Guru Shakyamuni Buddha from the merit field to come and sit there. And so we make that supplication, O glorious and precious Guru, come take a lotus and moon seat placed here on my crown, and keep me safe in your kindness, and bestow on me the attainments of your body, speech and mind, making that recitation 3 times, beginning the journey from the merit field to your crown, then the Guru Shakyamuni reaching the seat on your crown, and then with the 3rd recitation having the certainty that the Guru Shakyamuni Buddha Maninjavajradhara will remain steadfast on your crown.
我他做那养了多么面对的这么我的是，俺在那让你的别嘛大别起来住，俺的点到你嘛的大别点着，俺基本嘛点着了，俺越的那么这嘛一直是别说上这，俺让你把这走了，但你个故事都不是大别可是你别可是说什么等三节过嘛嘛都不是说能搞搞，我真的讲。
And then we make a mandala and offering, and the offering of the 7-limb practice to Guru Maninjavajradhara on our crown, and simultaneously we establish again another welcome seat of lotus, moon and sun disk mandala on our own heart center, and again invite with the invocation verse the Guru down to our heart center. O glorious and precious Guru, come take your lotus and moon seat placed here at my heart, and keep me safe in your kindness, bestow on me the attainment of your body, speech and mind. And then similarly reciting it 3 times with the 1st recitation, the figure of Shakyamuni Buddha dissolving into light, and starting the journey down through our central channel. With the 2nd recitation, the Guru arrives at our lotus and moon sun disk mandala seat at our heart, and with following the 3rd recitation of that verse, we have the certainty that the Guru Buddha will remain with us until we ourselves attain enlightenment. And rejoice in it. 多的了，多去切个些，那他这个告诉了他，这个说的，我们阿姨或者我们说刚是那是我的养这个一个点一个怕南国家的那国的个我的，那越出来，那个结果呢，刚这个把越出来，这告诉了，大概在这个教个茶他们在让给留到3个的，这个教个茶他们在把希望结束是这个主要快把你把拉说吧的。大概那些个炸的、弄的、提的拉说吧，这个的娘把拉说吧，说出的，大概这个说拆起了3节，恐怕牛都特别个，在推荐马路吧啥，推荐马路吧条也不修中说是不是这样？And then the lotus, the petals of the lotus seat at our heart center fold over in folding the figure of Guru Shakyamuni Buddha seated at the center. Now this is sealed at the top by a semi-vadra, and then further by the circling of the Sanskrit vowels going around it in a clockwise direction, the Sanskrit consonants encircling it in an anti-clockwise direction, and the mantra of dependent origination encircling it in a clockwise direction. And this sets off then from within this powerful emanation of light which permeates through the petals of the lotus and goes through every cell of our body. and thereby automatically purifying us of any faults or defilements, and that really purifying our kind of all of our whole system until we have this sense of it being clean, clear, and that we have all of the really conditions to almost attain the state of enlightenment right there and then, that our subtle body of the channels, the winds and the drops are all primed in our subtle body. And then through the combination of my own most subtle wind with the body of the figure of Shakyamuni Buddha, my own body transforms into the enlightened body of a Buddha. And then through the combination of my own most subtle mind acting as the substantial cause, together with the mind of the Buddha acting as the cooperative conditions, my own mind transforms into the enlightened mind of a Buddha. And that not only this, but then the place in which I am in, it again transforms into a Buddha realm. And I thoroughly rejoice that my objective of attaining the state of enlightenment has actually happened today. How wonderful that is. And that this brings forth a sense of bliss. This bliss in turn brings forth a sense of voidness or emptiness, and we abide in the wisdom of non-dual bliss and voidness. And then seeing ourselves as a fully enlightened being, we send out countless rays of light from our own heart center, equal in number to all the sentient beings in all the realms of existence. And entering in through the crowns of all those sentient beings, they are again purified of all defilement and all negativity. They automatically accumulate all the positive merit and virtue that is necessary, and they attain the state of enlightenment there and then. And likewise, wherever they are in all of their realms of existence are transformed from their unenlightened state into Buddha realms as well. And again, this is occasion for great rejoicing that I have actually fulfilled my main objective of being able to lead all sentient beings to that state of enlightenment by attaining enlightenment myself. And so this is really wonderful. And again, this brings forth a sense of bliss from which arises emptiness, and we abide in the wisdom of non-dual bliss and voidness. Now we know this is only made so right now through the power of our imagination, but we dedicate that just as we have imagined, that it will be actually made manifest as quickly as possible. And we do our Lamrim prayer in the prayer books. From my two collections, vast the space that I have amassed from working with effort at this practice for a great length of time. May I become the chief leading Buddha for all those whose minds' wisdom eye is blinded by ignorance. Even if I do not reach this state, may I be held in your loving compassion for all lives mandatory. May I find the best of complete graded paths of the teachings, and may I please all the Buddhas by my practice.
Using skillful means drawn by the strong force of compassion, may I clear the darkness from the minds of all beings with the points of the path as I have discerned them. May I uphold Buddha's teachings for a very long time. With my heart going out with great compassion in whatever direction the most precious teachings have not yet spread, or once spread have declined, may I reveal this treasure of happiness and aid. May the minds of those who wish for liberation be granted bounteous peace, and the Buddha's deeds be nourished for a long time. By even this way the path to enlightenment completed, due to the wondrous virtuous conduct of the Buddhas and their children. May all human and non-human beings who eliminate adversity and create conducive conditions for practicing the excellent paths never be parted in any of their lives from the purest path raised by the Buddhas.
Whenever
Someone makes effort to act in accordance with the tenfold Mahayana virtuous practices, may they always be assisted by the mighty ones, and may oceans of prosperity spread everywhere.